Awareness-raising activities in speaking. The first video in this series looked at the stages involved in teaching speaking. This video will focus on the awareness-raising stage. Experts divide awareness into attention, notice, and understand. Sometimes all three aspects can occur at the same time. But often when we reach the understand part of awareness, we don't realize how much attention and noticing it took to get there. Because understanding has the big payoff. It shows the progress. So the other two get underappreciated. What does this mean for teachers? First of all, that exercises we have learners engage in need to be interesting enough to gain their attention. An amazing number of activities fail at this step. Then, once we have students' attention, we should help them notice the particular word chunks or phrases that we want them to learn. But don't just show the phrase in one setting. Help them notice it in numerous instances of language. Understanding occurs when they're able to recognize the pattern and know what it means when it appears across the language in different places. Classroom language. Any speaking textbook will have recorded dialogue, but it has become classroom language, meaning that the publishers take out pause fillers and backtracking, like I'm doing now. They take out the speech interruptions, they add in redundancy that native speakers don't use, and they try to use nice, neat, complete sentences instead of the add-on strategy of natural, incomplete speech. Of course, the strong advantage of this classroom language is that it is understandable to the learner. But too much disconnect between authentic language and the classroom language can hobble the ESL student in their personal life outside the class. One awareness activity could be to create a more authentic version of a conversation in the textbook and have the students pick out the differences. Or record an authentic conversation with permissions and create a transcript later, then write a classroom language version of it. By the way, having a transcript for any listening done in class is essential for noticing and required by law in the United States. Authentic language in the classroom. Sometimes we consciously or subconsciously think that textbook writers are experts, so the conversations they provide in the book are the best. Unfortunately, that puts language learners at risk of having a deficiency of authentic language. What can you do? Use radio and TV programs? Well, forgetting the copyright issues, unless the scenes are carefully chosen, which is extremely labor-intensive for the teacher, they'll contain language and references that are not beneficial to your students. You, yourself, are one of the better sources, even if English is not your native language. Record yourself telling a story to your students and then go through some noticing exercises with them. Or you can invite a guest speaker. You can also record other teachers or co-workers. You can give them a particular topic or maybe a piece of formulaic language or ask them to go through a speech act such as complaining. Yes, all of this needs to have a transcript eventually, but one awareness-raising idea is to have the learners write out the transcript. By the way, you might want to spend some time recording authentic language and transcribing it yourself so that as the instructor, you can spend some time noticing the differences between spoken language and written language. It's one thing to read about it and hear about it, but focusing your own attention, noticing and understanding on the differences will make you a better teacher. You'll have a better idea of what to help your students notice. In summary, awareness-raising activities need to be interesting to the learner in order to gather their attention. Then specific aspects of the language in a variety of settings need to be pointed out so that the student notices them, which will eventually lead to understanding of the rule or pattern. While textbooks provide content for activities that contain classroom language, instructors should look for ways to incorporate authentic language into the lessons. The next video in this series will look at appropriation activities in speaking.